I'm over it. This shouldn't be a question of like, oh, ICE bases are surrounded by protesters. I'm done with it. I'm over it. You can issue a curfew. You can issue live rounds. Live rounds. Consequences. See, the problem is the left has been able to march so freely because there have been no consequences.
Why is it that major metropolitan areas all across this country are inundated with people who wake up in the morning wanting to commit violent crime and assault police officers and just create this chaos just to do it?
This is the problem, is we're done with all of that.
Yeah.
We need to go back to being a normal country. You commit crimes, you do the time. You break the laws, you're going to get locked up. It's that simple, and people like it like that.
Our nation is standing up for American workers, restoring the pride of making products here at home. That's what we do every day. We're America's beverage companies, making American products with American workers in America's hometowns, delivering brands that have been enjoyed for generations, creating good-paying jobs, the kind that require only a strong work ethic. Because we believe in the promise of America and the people who make it great.
Ladies and gentlemen, your attention, please.
Keep the faith, hold the line, and own the libs.
It's time for our main event.
Good Tuesday to you. Welcome back to the Ruthless Variety Program. I am Josh Holmes, along with Comfortably Smug and Michael Duncan. John Ashbrook out on assignment today, but we're going to have an awful lot of fun. It turns out the government's still shut, folks. We've got a decadently terrible Democratic Party that has decided to just kind of like not observe the typical rules of play in terms of just doing their job. They're still out. We're going to keep up on this, but that's not going to be the focus of what we do today because, frankly, they haven't added to any of it.
No, they're still just fighting for illegals, but...
Yeah, it's just like, that's not true. And you're like, well,
Okay, but it's true.
But it's true.
And then you can
so-
roll tape after tape after tape of them being in the opposite situation as they find themselves now, and they'd be arguing the exact opposite thing. And it's like, boring.
Yep.
Yeah, boring. So we're not going to give you anything boring. I will say the one notable exception to all of that was on Monday, the Washington Post, of all places, editorialized on this very topic, where they said two, I think, notable things. The first one was as it turns out, the Affordable Care Act, it was not affordable.
That was amazing to
Right.
see.
Right.
Which is incredible for those of us who were in the Obamacare wars of 2010. The Washington Post, amongst all of them, was the biggest cheerleader for Obamacare. And for them 15 years later to turn around and be like, yeah, it turns out all that was a bunch of bullshit, is great. I mean, it does trigger a touch of PTSD, to be honest. But, it is what it is. And then the second notable thing that I think they said is that Democrats used COVID for this argument that they have additional tax credits to try to afford the unaffordable that they created. And they said it was temporary in nature, and they argued that it was temporary for a reason, because you were in this emergency healthcare situation that we didn't completely understand with COVID in 2021. And that was set to expire, and they're like, we need that. We need that because nobody can afford our unaffordable healthcare if you don't just continue to do that.
Yeah, we need it in perpetuity.
Yeah.
I know when Obama sold this whole thing 15 years ago, we were going to go ahead and we were going to bend that cost curve. It was going to bend on down.
Oh, bend.
We're so close to getting to the bendy
It's
part.
just been bendy as shit. It's like Gumby.
I mean, that's the thing. Is
It just bends up.
the entire
Play-Doh.
existence of the left is basically predicated on, communism failed, but we got to try communism harder. And every socialist policy, no, dude, forget about it. We're gonna just try it again, and we're gonna try it more.
Well, and it's the Rahm Emanuel line of never let a good crisis go to waste, right? And so they looked at COVID and they're like, this is how we'll lock in these subsidies for this thing that we call the Affordable Care Act that's not affordable, and we'll lock that in forever, right?
Yeah.
And that's kind of what they're doing with this government shutdown as well, because previously they had always argue, a government funding fight is not the place or the time.
Not the time.
To be trying to work for a policy change. This is
Irresponsible,
about
they
funding
said.
the government. And if you want to have a conversation about policy and policy changes, that's for after you pass a CR.
Yes,
right?
these are the
Nancy
most...
Pelosi has said that. Hakeem Jeffries has said that. And now Republicans are offering that. Like, we will have a discussion about all of these sorts of things after we fund the government. And they're like, no.
But we digress. That will be the topic, probably, I'm guessing, of Thursday's program, because there's got to be some kind of development in all of that. But meanwhile, like, we hope that, like, your flights are on time and everything else works, because that's when these things start to shift. Like, you get a market change, all of a sudden you get flight delays, you get all kinds of different stuff, and, like, the American people are like, all right. And that, I think, is when the Democrats need to fold their cards, because they literally aren't playing any.
No.
At this point. They're just like, lies. just what it is. But there was also a development over the weekend and into Monday about ICE and ICE facilities. And it turns out there's a couple of clips in here that we found pretty amusing. First one is a DHS officer pepper spraying the air vent of an inflatable costume. Can we get that clip one, please? There he is. He's pepper spraying the vent.
It's like a giant inflatable frog, I think.
Can we get it one more time? I want to see.
There it is. So this is the theory behind it.
This is the theory behind it. So they're spraying the because it's an inflatable thing, and you hit it with pepper spray. It's a menace, obviously, but it's working its way around. You hit it with pepper spray, nothing happens. If you spray the vent, like, that's a real problem for whoever is in the inflatable costume.
It's genius.
Yeah. So we thought about it, and we're like, where have I seen this shit before? And it's all over the internet. It turns out it's one of the funniest things. I laugh at it every time. Can we play clip 1A? This is people spraying fart spray.
Dude, the look on the tree.
And these are the top 5.
That poor inflatable tree.
And people farting into...
Oh, he just farted into a Pikachu.
It just loses its mind.
A fart spray into Santa Claus. Oh,
I love how you just see the goofy character turn around.
Poor Santa.
And then the realization of what has been done to it.
And they lose it.
Another fart spray into poor SpongeBob.
Now watch SpongeBob.
Oh, he's going to throw up.
Can't get out. Because those things are notoriously difficult to...
Well, yeah. I mean, a fart.
Look at this thing.
Oh, no.
Dude, the look always kills me.
It's like the look of betrayal.
Because some like goofy animals turn around like, what has just happened?
It always kills me. So it strikes me that, like, ICE has been watching some vids.
Good for them.
Yeah. They figured out how to do this. But they've been dealing with all kinds of crazy stuff. And we're about to get into all of it. 1B are federal agents. They wheel away a protester. I think you flagged this one, Dunks.
Yeah, this is one of those protesters, as you frequently see in these crazy scenes, who, like, refuses to comply once they're under arrest and, like, goes limp. And they're like, I'm not going to walk. I'm not going to help you.
Yeah.
And so ICE has a solution for that. Let's play that clip. Okay.
Amazing. They just throw him on the trolley.
There's not a little dolly or something.
So this guy goes, like, dead-armed.
And now he's spitting.
Dead arm, dead leg. So they just put him on. It looks like a dolly, right? The kind of thing that you move with.
Yeah.
And they just lay him face down and truck him out.
And that's the thing, is like, essentially what you're dealing with is theater kids / children who are also dangerous. So you have to get them out of there. And it's like, these tantrums, they're essentially just throwing tantrums. They're mad at their parents. They're mad at their dad. They're mad at the world. They think that they're special. They're not special. They've accomplished nothing. They're angry. They've been told by the internet that they're special and that they're out here fighting fascism. Put them on the dolly and get them out.
The only downside to that clip is we couldn't play the audio because that was actually tweeted out by ICE's Twitter account, and they put it to Chameleonaire's "Riding Dirty."
Amazing. They see me rolling.
They see me rolling.
It's fantastic.
They hating. Which is just so perfect.
Riding dirty.
I love it. It's great. And, you know, in all of these clips, and you see a lot of these protests now in the year of our Lord, 2025, and you're like, wow, more hardball tactics here by ICE and federal agents and that sort of thing. And it's like, you'll see these liberal commentators on X and stuff talking about, wow, she's really aggressive. This is, cruel what they're doing to these people. And it's like everybody forgot that we lived through COVID. Yeah. That we lived through the BLM riots. That for like 2 seconds were about George Floyd, and then became basically Antifa taking over major cities in our country.
Yes.
And you were locked in your home and you had to watch it on TV every night as these like overprivileged anarchists got to run American cities and turn your life to shit. And it's like the American people woke up in 2024 and they were like, fuck all that.
Yeah.
Totally. And like that's sort of where my head's at on all of this stuff is like, y'all had it easy for too long and everybody did what you wanted to do. They gave them a whole city block in Portland in 2020. And it's like now they're starting to realize that law enforcement isn't going to put up with their shenanigans.
Also, dude, is it too much to ask for to just be fucking normal?
Yeah,
No,
dude,
like-
that's it.
Like, can you just be fucking... Like, you got the guy in the full Antifa outfit. He's like, oh, today's the day I go out and I fight ICE. Or today's the day I go out and I, like, try to pepper spray innocent people standing on the street. Or today is the day... Like, dude... We're just not going to put up with that shit. And I think that's the thing that gets lost in this ongoing discussion about federal law enforcement in cities or federal ICE agents doing their job or whatever. It's like the vast majority of Americans have voted in the last election, and I think continue to have this perception today. Dude, we're all just sort of like from an era where it's not too much to ask that you like get a job, do your job, take care of your family, hang out with your friends, go get shit-faced. Like, go enjoy yourself. Go do whatever it is that you want to do. Why is it that major metropolitan areas all across this country are inundated with people who wake up in the morning wanting to commit violent crime and assault police officers and just create this chaos just to do it? And, like, that's the thing that the left doesn't understand. You keep arguing at some level. It's like, oh, my gosh, what an intrusion of federal law enforcement in a state, in a city, and all this stuff. It's like, well, they wouldn't be there if you're doing your fucking job. Like, just make sure that you have enough disincentive in a city to not put up with that garbage.
That's the thing, is so much of the left is essentially just agitation.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Because it's like they have had over 20 years essentially of running unchallenged. Like we saw Obamacare.
Yeah.
We saw the left's crazy lunatic policies. I mean, we were in a place where you saw news anchors, you saw major media figures putting their pronouns next to their names wherever they like.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't guess this was a woman, but you have to do it because there's a small, tiny half of 1% of people who have a mental disorder and can't decide what gender they are. But all of society must bend to the will of these people. Like, this is the problem: is we're done with all of that.
Yeah.
We need to go back to being a normal country. You commit crimes, you do the time. You break the laws, you're going to get locked up. It's that simple. And people like it like that.
Just
They
realign
like having
the
a
incentives.
safe- that's it.
Realign the incentives.
I think the left just learned the wrong lesson coming out of 2020. They really did believe that if they made everybody's lives more miserable, they'd get elected.
Yeah.
They could get power.
Yeah.
And I think the American people reject that now.
Yeah, I think that's well said. So listen, it's getting bad out there. There's a whole bunch of cities out there that it doesn't feel like they're actually on the home team here.
Nope.
Now, there's a bunch of things that we're about to get into, Chicago and elsewhere, Portland, that you got to talk about because these are real things that are infecting places that you live. Right after this.
America's demand for energy is rising rapidly, and at a time when American families can least afford an energy shortage. But for decades, critical energy projects have been blocked, limiting our access to reliable, affordable American energy and putting America's energy dominance at risk. The solution is obvious. Overhaul the broken energy permitting process. Make it faster and simpler. Innovation, a strong workforce, abundant oil and gas. We have it all right here in the USA. Let's put America first and political agendas last. we can power our own country, create thousands of good-paying American jobs, and unleash American energy to be bigger and better than ever before. Because when America builds, America wins. Read API's plan to secure America's future at permittingreformnow.org. Paid for by the American Petroleum Institute.
All right, so there was a big thing in Chicago, and obviously we've been following the Pritzker versus Trump thing, where he's like, no, I don't want any law enforcement. They're like, hey, dude, you had 31 murders over the weekend. Don't you think you could use some help? And he's like, hey, you're going to break some eggs to make an omelet, essentially, right? I mean,
he's got to break a lot of eggs for his omelets. Yeah, like, let's be real.
He's like a cool.
We're going through dozens.
A cool dozen for that guy's omelet, and it's loaded. He's got it. It's not a lot of veggies either. Boy, that fat bastard. Anyway, he's got like apparently a whole bunch of people, even locally, that are just unresponsive at some level. Now, I understand on Monday there was a pushback press conference from the Chicago police that isn't kind of the way that they say it, but it feels like this might. Let's just check out the clip. Clip 2. There's a riot for your audio-only listeners, which is just supremely amazing in and of itself. Like, what are you rioting about?
I see a flag from Mexico, so...
Yeah. And then you get ICE agents, their cars getting stuff thrown at them. They're trying to get out of Dodge. I mean, just full chaos involved. And look at these people that are like high-fiving. They're like, yeah, we did it.
I'm seeing a lot of COVID masks.
Yeah.
I mean, this is unacceptable.
And now you get some cops in there. ICE agents trying to get out. But like, it's lawlessness.
This is pure lawlessness.
They're throwing rocks at cars. Like, what are they... It's an American city.
Yeah, I'm over it, dude.
That's like Caracas.
That looks like I'm in Nicaragua or something like that. I'm over it. I'm so over it. I'm over it. This shouldn't be a question of like, oh, ICE bases are surrounded by protesters. I'm done with it. I'm over it. You can issue a curfew. You can issue live rounds. Live rounds. Consequences. See, the problem is the left has been able to march so freely because there have been no consequences.
Yep.
Because, I mean, there was that case, you remember during COVID in New York City, you had that lady throw a Molotov cocktail. All charges dropped. All charges dropped. She can throw a Molotov cocktail at law enforcement. The lesson's been given to the left that, hey, look, you can go out, you can riot. You can say, oh, in the name of justice, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to throw bricks at moving vehicles.
Yeah.
And the reason they're so comfortable doing this is because they've seen there's no consequences.
Well, and back to Holmes's earlier point of like, why aren't we a normal country? And like, you just like, you get a job and you take care of your family and stuff like that. And like, you look at a crowd like that and you can imagine that probably the majority of these people went to college, went $300,000 into debt, probably got a master's degree in some liberal nonsense that means nothing and can't get them employed. And so what they do is they get to LARP as communist revolutionaries and throw shit at cars. It's very low stakes for them, but for them, that's fulfilling in their lives.
Yeah, that's something worth doing. Another clip. This one's out of Portland. Clip 3, please. Another riot. People barking at law enforcement here.
Oh, this is the video I love.
You guys don't belong here. Go back to the fucking South where you belong.
Go back to the South where you belong?
Yeah. Yeah.
What's that all about?
Oh, interesting. Meanwhile, you got these guys just standing there.
Just standing.
And look at these.
Crowd
it's the
control.
dregs of society that have shown up.
Here it is.
Oh, he spits in the cop's face and down he goes.
There we go. There we go.
Get him. Consequences.
Consequences. He spits on the cop, and all of a sudden now he's hog-tied. Dunzo. Sorry, buddy. I'm all for it.
I love it. I love it because that's what I'm talking about is consequences.
Yep.
The behavior is stopped. My only worry is then they get a magistrate, then they get a judge.
Yeah.
Who's like, no, this is a very revolutionary battle. It's like the judge who just let Kavanaugh's attempted assassin
Yeah.
get the lowest possible time, like 8 years for attempting to assassinate.
Because they were trans.
Yeah, because they were trans, and then you look at the judge and it's like, oh, she has like a degree in like Palestinian scholarship and has spent her entire life being like a left-wing cog in the machine. Now she's a judge. Now she decides, oh well, you try to kill a conservative justice.
Listen, I don't want to be
sick of it.
I don't want to be hyperbolic about all of this, because we deal with this in America. We deal with riots. We deal with all kinds of different things. But if you consider like the institutionalizing on the left and the funding on the left and the infrastructure that they've built, we saw it in George Floyd. You're continuing to see it now under a second President Trump term. This is what like a group of people attempting civil war
100%
in America do, because it's not, you can't just simply roll into the cities and do what these assholes are doing in attempt to win. But over a 10-year period of time, if you try to fund magistrates, you try to fund judges, you try to change higher education, you try to change information flow, which we've seen as the news media, you try to change entertainment. What you're doing is hoping to build a movement of like-minded folks, and then ultimately on the back end, trying to ensure that those people who are your front lines are not held accountable for what it is that they're doing. And like over time, that builds enough and enough where you have a real problem. So like in some ways, look, I understand if there's fatigue from those of you across the country who don't like encounter this thing all the time. Like, why are we always involved in some kind of like a thing? Like, why is it always something? Well, he's quite literally trying to save the country here.
That's the thing, is for so long, people have let this fly.
Yeah.
Letting it fly is what let it build up to this point. Where, like, you're describing exactly, it's the patronage system of the left. Where they're like, yes, you're a fail son. You got a master's in something worthless. But you know what? You can get paid to protest. You can go out. You can write. You have all your friends online with all your pronouns in the bio will each call each other, you're a communist revolutionary. Congratulations. I'm so proud of your work, comrade. And you've done nothing with your life. You've made life worse for your fellow Americans.
That is the funniest part about it, is they use the word comrade to each other unironically. It's very funny.
It's just incredible. So, like, look, the Trump squad is limited in some ways constitutionally about what it is they can do in places that they're not given express authority. We saw D.C. where they have express authority. They were able to clean up the streets. D.C. is fantastic today.
It's mind-blowing. I feel so bad for Americans who have to live in these cities that are just, and states that are refusing to allow President Trump to make citizens in this country safe. It blows my mind.
It blows my mind too. But what they're constitutionally obligated to do is just protect federal property, essentially, which is why you see them in primarily a defensive posture in all of this play. They can't go do law enforcement, despite the fact there's utter lawlessness going on. They require a local PD to do all of that, which is the subject of a conversation we're about to get into. But this is Stephen Miller, who just kind of lays out what the White House's view on this is. The issue before us now is very simple and clear. There is large and growing movement of left-wing terrorism in this country.
Yep.
It is well organized and funded. It is shielded by far-left Democratic judges, prosecutors, and attorneys general. The only remedy is to use legitimate state power to dismantle terrorism and their terrorism networks. So that's kind of what we've been saying here. I mean, look, that's a finer point.
He's right on.
But it's totally right in that this has been something that's been built for a long period of time, where they've institutionalized it and had a protection racket that's run for people that feel free to roll out in the streets and throw rocks at federal law enforcement. I mean, how many of you listening to this? Like, what would it take for you to get out on your street and throw rocks at a federal law enforcement vehicle when there's been absolutely nothing done to you?
You know, I think that's also
what would it take?
I think that's also become like a major difference between liberals and conservatives in this country, the left and the right in this country, is conservatives have something to lose.
Yeah.
You've got families, you've got jobs, you've got things going for you.
Which is, I think, is responsible for the blue collar shift. Like, there's so many people who like to try to define Trump era populism as like, well, no, they just, now it's a shift towards like being open to union labor and all that. Like, that's a granular DC talk. What it is what you're talking about, which is most people are pretty frickin' normal in this country.
It's almost like it's starting to be the argument for me, like civilization versus anti-civilization, where it's like you've got people in this country who want to have a normal life, they want to build things, they want to have a family, they want to have a hopeful future.
Yeah.
And then there's people who just want to go out and they want to wear their black hoodies and they want to wreck shit. That's basically it.
I mean,
that's basically it. And then you've got a party that's catering to the destruction.
And make no mistake, that's exactly what they're doing. I mean, look, they just shut down the government, not because they actually think it's a good strategy. Like, they're all off the record and on background with every reporter in the world saying we have no strategy.
Yep.
This is what we're doing. And they're doing it because they've got this base that you just saw on the clips that we provided that also 3 months ago were saying we want blood in a Politico argument. And they were like, yeah, no, our base is out of control. We don't know what to do with it. And the rudderless ship that is the Democratic Party doesn't want to do anything about it. Like, their hopes and dreams rely on trying to harness that. I mean, just think about it this way. If you just back up a little bit, consider like the post-08 TARP, like big bank bailout, economic ruins in our country. And the conservative universe got really upset, rightly so, about their situation. And they demanded some electoral changes in their representation and in terms of like the seriousness by which they take debt deficits and debt, because for the first time in a long time, it affected them directly. It affected their 401ks. It affected whether they could stay in their frickin' house, whatever. How did they do that? They showed up at a bunch of like town halls. They did protests outside of the Capitol. They did a bunch of things that were like clearly demonstrating the value of an organized effort to say what you're doing, U.S. government, is wrong. How does the left do it? You're throwing frickin' Molotov cocktails at federal agents? Like, come on, dude. Like, that's just there's a fundamental difference. There's no way to equate conservative angst with what's happening here on the liberal left. And it's happened for a very long time. There was a good tweet. I don't know if you guys saw this. Eric Schmidt, senator from Missouri, put out a tweet string over the weekend where he was talking about how this has been embedded for a very long time on the left, in that people who are embedded in the most violent resistance within the left, starting in the 1960s with like Weather Underground. Mm-hmm. People who are convicted of like bombing the Capitol. People who are bombing.
That's correct. That happened.
Bombing. That actually happened. People who were convicted of murder, were convicted of like the most heinous crimes imaginable, served some time, got let out on parole over a number of years, and became like tenured professors at the University of Chicago, or like, a bunch of Ivy League schools, and celebrated. Columbia.
Went on to also train Barack Obama. Like Bill Weathers, the Weather
Bill
Underground.
Ayers.
Bill Ayers.
Yeah. I mean, so this has been something that has been embedded in the ideology of the left for an awful long time. We just had some system of governance for quite a while that discouraged it to a point where there were real consequences. There weren't in the 60s. There really weren't, in terms of what happened to them later in life. Mm-hmm. And what happened to them later in life is they just trained another route of 60s activists that have now shown up, and their kids have shown up, and they are pissed, and they think that like a good way of expressing whatever they think their displeasure is. I'm sorry you live in the freest country in the world with the greatest access to improve your lot in life. I really apologize. I wish you would all go to Gaza. I really do. But they're not. They're staying here and they're ruining our cities. And like, only this incredibly disruptive and uncomfortable law enforcement presence that the Trump administration is putting in has any hope of reversing this kind of thing because they have consequences for the first time. I don't know. It's unbelievable. You got a federal judge that blocked a Trump National Guard deployment in Portland amid that was according to Fox News. I mean, this thing, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, but I mean, that's sort of like where my head's at. Maybe I'm kind of black-pilled on this entire thing. You know, back to Steve Miller's tweet and also this judge who's blocking the deployment. It's like you can give stiffer sentences, I guess, to people who throw rocks or the Molotov cocktails or like, you know, actually meet those people with force directly. But like, unless you're able to disrupt the funding mechanism for all of this left-wing violence and the infrastructure behind it and somehow defeat all of these left-wing prosecutors and judges in these local jurisdictions, like, I don't know how we stop it. I really don't.
Well, you can move and you can stop sending them their taxpayer dollars.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing that I find so fascinating. If you're like anywhere in the center and you live in Portland, like, I'm sorry that that's where you grew up and you have nostalgia there. Get the fuck out of there. Like, you can't fund that. How can you fund that? Look at Chicago. You got a mayor and a mayor that is clinically insane.
Yeah.
A governor who is the most absurdly disgusting political pragmatist of all time in terms of, like, he sees value of being the antithesis to Trump in terms of his own political.
He's the fat pig who thinks the commies will eat him last. That's the funny thing. This little billionaire mama's boy, because he's got the family money that bought him that seat. He's like, maybe if I just go along with it, the commies will eat me last.
And he's surrounded by them. It was just, I think, last week or 2 weeks ago that the Chicago Public Teachers Union was putting out a tweet memorializing the life of Assata Shakur.
Yeah.
You know, the communist revolutionary who
Killed
murdered a cop and stole a bunch of money from a priest and then had all of her compatriots break her out of prison, and she fled to Cuba for the rest of her life.
That's what the political power is in Chicago.
In Chicago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So listen, let's play clip 10.
Okay. Any kind of particular hairstyle, just younger, male, Hispanic, on foot, wearing all black?
No hairstyle.
Okay, 10-4. And one is for the hit and run. This guy fled from the scene at 37th Place in Kedzie. It all started at I-55 in Kedzie. Then they fled southbound at Kedzie, where that offending vehicle crashed. They ran the federal agent off the road. They fled on foot westbound 37th Place from Kedzie. It was a male Hispanic younger wearing all black clothing. 99.
Yeah, send the cars in that direction. Have them stay put 2 or 3 blocks away, all right? Have them hold tight until I give you further direction, please.
Okay, 10-4. And for the units responding to 39th Place in Kedzie per 999, if you guys can just, for the units responding to 39th Place in Kedzie, if you guys can start heading there as quick as you can, and then just hold tight for instructions with 999.
999.
999.
So the chief of patrol, clear everybody up. We're not responding over there.
Radio check. And again, per the chief of patrol, we have all the units that per 999. Chief of patrol said all units clear out from there. We're not sending anybody over to that location.
Not send anybody over.
That's a stand down order that Chicago PD is telling their officers of, oh yeah, you know, I mean, you heard it right there. You had ICE get run off the road.
Yep.
You saw the Latino suspect wearing all black, fled on foot. The police are like, stand down.
Stand down. Right? And now the chief's police came out on Monday and provided a counter narrative that said that they had people that were there that were in the, like, sort of gas, you know, whatever it was. But I just don't think that any of this is coincidental. And
Nope.
I think if you follow the line from the mayor of Chicago to the governor of Illinois, it's not a surprise that you have a police department that is taking orders. Like, these guys are just doing their jobs, right? And they're just, when they get a stand down order, it's because that's what the leadership has told them to do. Like, they're not there to protect you or federal agents or stop crime.
It's like our major cities in this country are run by Bane. It's like absolutely insane,
Dude, it's
open the prisons. Take control of your city.
I mean,
It's crazy.
here's the mayor, clip 11.
And today, we are signing an executive order aimed at reining in this out-of-control administration. The order establishes ICE-free zones. That means that city property and unwilling private businesses will no longer serve as staging grounds for these raids.
Bro, I want to see that with like an AI that puts a Bane mask on him in the Bane voice, because it's like legit. That is just like Bane.
What is an ice-free zone? Is it like a gun-free zone where all the crime happens?
Well, you know, I think the thing is, I think Democrats tried this shit before at Fort Sumter, where they're like, no, this is a federal government-free zone, and they had to find out then, dude.
They had to find out. But I mean, look, it leads to an interesting question of the day, which is like all the impediments.
I love this question
All
so much.
the impediments to the Trump administration just simply trying to enforce law and order. You got governors, mayors, police chiefs, all these in these left-wing cities. They're like, no, and they're stopping them, and they're not enforcing crime against the federal officers, all these other things. Like, should Trump just let the liberal cities fall? Should he just let them fall?
I'm black-pilled.
This is such a good philosophical question.
I'm black-pilled, and I say yes. But I really am curious what people think on this, because I want this administration to be able to succeed with all this. But, like, at some point, you look at all of the obstacles to being successful, and it's like, why do we help these people that hate us so much?
It's just such a good philosophical question, because I think most of us grew up in and around major cities where you would go, like the highlight of your year was to go in and watch a sporting event, watch, something in the city, and it was like a fun time. It was great.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that still exists, because you see, full NFL stadiums on Sunday.
I don't know how much of Minneapolis still exists.
I mean, dude, it's a fair question. Listen, I'm not here to defend that
Get him.
pirate ship.
Hold them accountable,
Yeah, that
Smug.
pirate is going to take over,
The
bro.
pirate ship is full. It's full Black Hawk Down in North Minneapolis. But I mean, I think that's like, do you just let it go? Because
And I've seen good arguments online for like why conservatives should not abandon these cities. Of being like, why would we cede New York, Los Angeles, but all these major American cities,
centers
which are
of
so
wealth
great,
and power.
Yeah.
to the left? Because that's a good argument too. Is don't let them have any of it.
Yeah, but then
Yeah.
you look at a place like New York that's about to make a Democratic socialist their mayor, and it's like, do you want to be saved?
Yeah.
You know?
No, if you're going to do it.
We should run Bane.
They doing it deliberate.
We gotta run Bane in these towns.
Wait, you know all about the different party lines that are in New York. Which would be the best party line in New York City for Bane to run on to be successful?
Independence Party,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Because like
Hell
it
yeah.
tricks so many voters.
Hell
They see
yeah.
the I and they're like, oh, it's independent.
Yeah, it's
no.
what I
You can
am.
just buy that line. Bane would do it. It'd work.
God, it's ridiculous. Well, anyway, coming up, we're going to get to your comments from last episode, which was about the shutdown. We asked, when Democrats cave, what will their capitulation statement say? We're going to save our own for when Smash gets back.
Yeah.
But we want to get to yours right after this.
Only 58% of Americans today say they're proud to be American, the lowest number ever recorded. That's not just sad, it is very dangerous, because if we forget what makes America special, we risk losing it. That's why Americans for Prosperity is launching the One Small Step campaign, a bold nationwide initiative to reconnect Americans with our founding principles that sparked unparalleled innovation and prosperity. It's not just a celebration, it's a call to action. Through the 250,000 Steps for Freedom Challenge, AFP is partnering with the grassroots in all 50 states to take meaningful steps that defend freedom and advance opportunity. Call your representative, attend a local event, knock on a door, talk to your neighbors. Every single step counts, and every step moves us closer to a more perfect union. Go to takeonesmallstep.com to learn more, then join the challenge at afpvolunteer.com.
Okay, when you like and subscribe to the Ruthless Variety program, and thank you for all of you who have in recent days and weeks, we appreciate it greatly. But when you do that and you leave us a comment, we read all of them. And we get back to you on the very next episode with a little summary of the comments that we think are indicative of the larger sentiment that you've expressed. To do that, we usually start with the voice, but now we're going to start with Michael Duncan. Dunks, what do we got in comment 1?
This is from Joshua Bissey. Joshua writes, when they cave, the left will run the taco narrative, claiming that the GOP folded. Taco being a reference to the Trump always chickens out.
They'll just pretend like they didn't.
No, they won.
Yeah.
I maintain we should just like have a giant medal for Schumer that says I won the shutdown, and we present it to him on the Senate floor, and then we can all just
congratulations, Chuck.
You did it.
You did it. You put us all through it. We were so serious about it. Yeah, no, it's not a bad plan. All right, comment 2.
Comment 2 is from Maureen Willis. Maureen writes, we shut the government down because not doing so would allow the fascists in the White House to destroy democracy. However, we have to reopen the government to fight the fascists in the White House. That is it. That's it. That's perfect.
Really good logic.
That is pretty good. Yeah. That is pretty good. Comment 3 comes from Morgan Hale. Democrats' capitulation statement, never mind.
I mean, you have to laugh at these idiots. You really have to laugh at the Dems.
You got to laugh at them. Listen, a scandal is brewing in a prominent election as National Review reveals disturbing text messages from Democratic candidate for Attorney General in Virginia. We covered a little bit of this, not the text message component, but what's come out since we covered this idiot getting convicted of going like 160 miles an hour.
Yeah.
And then doing the community service hours at his own pack.
Yeah.
And like raising money for himself. And then his staffer sending a letter to the court being like, oh, geez, we really appreciate all the work. I mean, this is clownery.
Yeah.
This is clownery at its highest. We're going to get to all of it right after this. Okay, so we covered this guy named Jay Jones, who's running for Attorney General of the Commonwealth of Virginia. And, like, typically we don't do a lot of, like, state and local race stuff unless it is beyond the pale. And this one has ventured well beyond the pale. There's a sitting Attorney General, Jason Miyares. We'll endeavor to try to get him on to talk a little bit about this in the next couple of weeks. But he's doing a great job. And this guy who's running against him, Jay Jones, it was revealed he was doing like 120 miles an hour and was arrested and given community service. He did all of this at his PAC, raising money for himself, which is like, you know, immediately everybody was like, oh, I have nothing to see here. We're Democrats. We don't give a shit about any of that immorality. We're moving on. Then it comes out in graphic. Let's do clip 4, please.
Breaking news from the campaign trail. Jay Jones, the Democratic nominee for Virginia Attorney General, is accused of sending a former legislative colleague text suggesting he would like to shoot the Speaker of the House of Delegates. Thanks for joining us here at 5.
You're not allowed to do
Janine
that?
Samuels.
And I'm Bill Fitzgerald. This series of texts
this
was
is in
first
Portland?
reported by the National Review. Jones, a former delegate, reportedly sent Delegate Kerry Coyner texts about hypothetically shooting Speaker Todd Gilbert back in 2022 and wishing violence upon his children.
Oh
Delegate
my God.
Coyner has confirmed Jones sent her a number of texts, several of which read from Jones: 3 people, 2 bullets. Gilbert, Hitler, and Pol Pot. Gilbert gets 2 bullets to the head. Spoiler, put Gilbert in the crew with the 2 worst people you know, and he receives both bullets every time. Coyner says, Jay, please stop. And Jones replies, LOL, okay, okay.
Coyner sent us a statement that says, on August 8th, 2022, I had a text conversation with Jay Jones. What he said was not just disturbing, but disqualifying for anyone who wants to seek public office. Jay Jones wished violence on the children of a colleague and joked about shooting Todd Gilbert. It's disgusting and unbecoming of any public official.
Okay, so these cowards on that station, which tells you a lot about the media, they didn't show the text where he said he wants to see the children of that person murdered and the mother to hold their dead bodies.
Yeah.
With blood running everywhere. Like, this is an extremely unhinged individual. And so I think this whole discourse going around it of like, why aren't Democrats, you know, like Abigail Spanberger, wasn't she calling on him to drop others? I think we are so past that, man. If you look at the events of just the past month, we are so beyond. I am calling on this individual step down. Youngkin, you're term limited. Arrest the man.
Yeah,
Arrest him. Lock him up. It's over. You can't be putting out death threats and then try to run for attorney general, because here's the other thing. I have no faith in the voters of Virginia. This guy's been up in the poll. I have no faith. I have no faith in the people of Virginia, because here's the other sad part. And we saw this after Charlie was murdered. How many teachers, doctors, nurses sent out tweets celebrating that? I guarantee there is a significant and a terrifying percentage of voters in Virginia who saw this guy's statements. They're like, good, I agree with him.
Well, yeah, see, that's the thing, and I think it exposes a lot about the left in our democracy, is the media try to minimalize a lot of that stuff you were mentioning, Smug, because, oh, well, you know, Charlie Kirk, they would say, oh, he was divisive, yada, yada, yada. You think the Speaker of Virginia, you know, deserves 2 bullets over Pol Pot? You know what I mean?
Over Hitler, dude. He said over Hitler.
Like, and another bit of breaking news on this. I saw a tweet about the source again here is this Kerry Coyner, the delegate, saying that Democratic Attorney General nominee Jay Jones told her in a 2020 phone call that a few police officers dying would stop them from killing other people.
Bro.
They want police officers dead too.
I got so
many. And he's like, and now I want to be the attorney general.
Yeah, I want to be attorney general.
So many reactions. First of all, prior regret in the Coyner text message chain, huh?
Yeah.
I mean, that one didn't work out for him.
Do you think maybe she has some other bangers that she can put out here over the next few weeks?
Those are some bangers. But to your point that you just made, this guy's running for attorney general, the top law enforcement officer for a state that borders the capital of this country.
Yeah.
Where his hot take is that cops should be killed.
That's the thing. It's not a take. This is who he is. Yeah. This is who he is. And it's not like, it can't be like, oh, it was a one-time thing. We're seeing like over a number of years, a series of texts and phone calls. And this is an individual who, first off, we talked about way before even all of this came out. He's driving 160 miles an hour and he got off. And then all of these guys were mad at me because I said lock him up for life on that. I know when a dude needs to be locked up for life. And then it comes out all of this.
It became an attack on us. Dude, if the guy does somehow win and become attorney general, just think about his PAC. Like, he can send every, misdemeanor offender to community service, and they can do it.
They can work in his PAC. They can raise money for him. Get on the phone, Buster. Yeah. But you know what? I mean, dude, look. There was a time, and I think part of the reason that everybody is sort of aghast in the political class is sort of aghast that you've got a Democratic Party that's doing nothing to try to distance themselves from this is because typically speaking, when something like this were to happen, it is disqualifying and their names are all on the ballot. They're so fucking confident that there's just going to be nothing but a blue wave
That's the
supporting them that they don't care. They don't care.
That's the thing is like, I'm telling you, after we've seen not only the numerous attempts on the life of President Trump, we saw Charlie Kirk get assassinated in front of everybody. We saw all these Democrats celebrating that, and now it's not like this is disqualifying. This individual shouldn't run. They're running on it.
Yeah,
this dude is out in the open saying this. He's been leading polls. Dude, enough's enough.
Well, so I mean, the most indicative part of all of this is how a candidate like Jay Jones responds to it, because it tells you the kind of pressure that they're feeling internally.
Yeah, from other Democrats.
To try to let's smooth some waters here,
dude,
pal. We're like 3 weeks out.
He's not feeling any pressure.
Here's what he has to say, graphic 2. Like all people, I've sent text messages that I regret, and I believe violent rhetoric has no place in politics. Let's be clear about what is happening in the Attorney General's race right now. Jason Miyares is dropping smears through Trump-controlled
what?
media organizations to assault my character and rescue his desperate campaign. This is a strategy that ensures Jason Miyares will continue to be accountable to Donald Trump, not the people of Virginia. This race is about whether Trump can control Virginia or Virginians control Virginia. Really?
That's what I'm talking about.
I mean, the
guy goes on offense.
Trump-controlled media. The video clip we played was from the local ABC affiliate.
Yeah, I mean, that's the funniest part about this is it's like You mean that you would have to have a Trump-controlled affiliate to be sort of like ask some questions about your assassination rhetoric over a Speaker of the House?
Can I say the reason why he can get away with this kind of like a ridiculous statement is because he is not feeling any pressure. Abigail Spanberger has not said he needs to drop out.
She's running for governor.
She's running for governor. She hasn't said he needs to not only drop out, he needs to go get his head checked. None of that. Nope. You haven't heard it from Tim Kaine. None of the elected officials in Virginia have said this guy's got to go because they coddle this. They know this. They have to have their voters be so deranged into believing they're in this like war against Donald Trump for the freedom of the country. They have actively cultivated that belief. This guy's a result of that system.
I think I know now who the winner of the shutdown is. It's the Democratic senators from Virginia that don't have to answer questions right now in the rotunda.
I mean, seriously, they might be. Because they've said absolutely nothing, but one guy who was asked, clip 5, Virginia Dem House Speaker.
So we need to understand something. We have to be mature in our thinking and how we vote. We can't get distracted because they want us to get distracted by the text message here or something else.
Oh, that's a
Stay
distraction.
focused.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about, dude.
Yeah.
That like this guy is
And from the pulpit of all places.
From the pulpit. He's there in a church.
Yeah.
And he's saying that the call for an assassination of a colleague, the
murder
killing
of his kids
cops,
in their mother's arms.
murder of the
like
guy's
he's like
kids.
deranged, sick, dangerous.
Don't be distracted by something. How could you be distracted?
See,
What we want is higher taxes.
I have no faith in a party that cultivates that. I think, listen, if I'm Governor Youngkin, I send the National Guard, surround this guy's house, I put him in cuffs, I perp walk him, and then I want the Democrats to argue why he needs to be freed. Are you going to say that like, well, just because he's putting out death threats, he shouldn't be locked up? You want to make that argument? Do it.
Smug's
Do it.
always on offense.
Dude, you're term limited, Youngkin. You can do this. Perp walk him. And then, dude, you can moonwalk and remind everyone of Northam. This is a W.
Moonwalk. Little blackface.
Yeah.
Spice things up.
Yeah. I mean, they call for Northam to resign. They're
Nothing
not calling
happened
for
to
this
that.
guy.
Nothing happened to that. He's like, yeah, I dressed up as Michael Jackson in blackface and moonwalked, and everybody's like, huh.
And then he's like, do you want me to moonwalk now?
Yeah.
And this is like, no.
He
please
actually
don't.
said that at a press conference.
Yeah. Like, do you want me to moonwalk? His press people are like, oh my God. And people were like, yeah, let him serve his term.
Yeah.
Let him serve his term. He's a good Democrat. Speaking of dumb criminals, we got another one for you.
Speaking of dumb criminals.
What a great seg.
seg.
Yeah, great seg.
Nailed it.
Clip 7, please. All right, so this is some thieves that are trying to steal an ATM. And they have, like, look at them, first of all. I don't know what kind of car they've got there exactly.
I don't know the towing capacity of that
But
thing.
it certainly doesn't have a lot of tow capacity. But they've hooked up the ATM to something in the car, and they're like, all right, here we go. Let's go. Backs up. He's going to have a running start. Boom.
No.
Pulls the whole hood off the back of the thing. And now here they go. They're like, oh, geez, we're going to have to
look at
reset
this
thing. Look at the hood. Or look at the trunk.
The whole trunk.
Is that a Nissan, dude? Because like 90% of the time when a crime is committed, the car's a Nissan. Like, I don't know why.
What? Really?
It's every time, dude. Whenever you see, because I watch a lot of cop videos.
Mm-hmm.
I love cop videos so much.
Nissan's at the
I miss
is the
Cops
thing?
being a show, dude. Like every time, it's the Nissan. And like when we're driving, I tell my wife like, you know, if you got Nissans driving aggressive, I'm like, we have a lot more to lose. Like Nissan drivers, it's a red alert. Like they're gonna hurt somebody. You saw it right there, dude.
It's like coming alongside of a Toyota
Bro, they tried to
pickup
like
truck
tow
and
an
a bottom
ATM.
bed. Right? You're
Yeah.
like, oh, nope.
Okay,
We're
that's
good.
ISIS.
Hey, you know what? Merge right away. No problem.
But like, how do you not know that if you don't have some sort of hitch on the back of this thing, you're not going to be able to pull an ATM?
Imagine the planning session.
If you know things, you're not trying to steal ATMs.
It's
I
true.
think like
Yeah, it's true.
They'd pull an ATM off with the trunk
dude, what
of a
it
Nissan.
did to that car was incredible.
Oh my God, it's just amazing. Okay, so the next story we've got comes from the Daily Mail. British and U.S. couples cheat death when rampaging elephants flips their safari canoes over before smashing one of the women with its trunk. Can we see that clip 8?
Oh
All right, so
my
here,
God, dude.
They're like, here comes the elephant. Look at him working his way. Look
Bro, you gotta row harder.
He's rowing. He's got the rowing. Oh, Jesus, that thing's coming.
Oh, my. Bro.
Look at the people just kind of sitting there.
Oh, my gosh.
Okay, shout out to the cameraman.
Yeah, he keeps it focused a little bit, doesn't he?
I mean, maybe grab an oar, pal.
Yeah.
Oh, they're trying to clap to steer him.
that-
Steer the elephant away from the people.
It's not like it's a freaking circus animal. That's a wild
Everyone clap
beast.
for the elephant.
Well,
Good
no,
job.
No, but you know how they say, like, you know,
You're encouraging it, dude.
if there's a bear, you make a lot of noise, you know, and that hopefully scares them off. And you try to make yourself look big. And
Well,
that
it must have worked a little bit. Their guides took them too close to a female elephant or two calves, leading to the bull of the herd charging through shallow waters in reeds during the attack. The 4 tourists on both canoes are tipped into the crocodile-infested waters
Amazing.
of the delta, whilst their 2 guides appear to be abandoning them and running to safety on the riverbank. A former South African game ranger who has shown the video said they're very lucky to escape indeed, because all 4 could have just as easily been killed by that angry bull. The woman was lucky not to have been gored with those trunks.
Yeah.
And those,
Oh, yeah.
Here's the thing:
those ivory tusks.
Is why are you involved in any of this? And your guides and such don't have guns. Like,
Well, see, yeah.
this is Africa. You're already in crocodile waters and you're unarmed. Let alone there's like elephants. What if we boat through the crocodile-infested waters and check out the kids? While the dad gets pissed off when you're near kids, but this will be entertaining for the crew. Like, number one, and the guides bounced. Like, they clearly showed they have zero. They got paid.
Well, smug.
The cash up front, right? So what's the loss to them?
Smug,
They're out.
Smug, I think you bring up a really good point, and that is if you want to go trophy hunting in Africa, this seems actually like a good strategy.
Right?
Because these are protected animals.
Well,
you can't get necessarily just shoot them.
Great thinking.
But maybe
Self-defense.
if you bring the elephant gun and sort of bait yourself out there on the waters and they happen to charge, he's coming right for us.
Yeah,
and,
you
and,
know?
and you got your friend videoing the whole thing.
Yeah, right. It's proof.
And then you
And be
can,
like, well, you don't want the ivory to go to waste.
and then you
Like,
can,
I'm not going to just leave the corpse.
you can ride one of the babies off like Dumbo.
Oh,
Now kids ride the baby
Now
off.
it's sad. Why'd you
No,
have to
dude,
make it
no.
sad?
I mean, here's the thing: is like, there's a reason humans won, right? Like, you got to remind the animal kingdom once in a while, and you don't do it without a gun.
Poor Dumbo.
Dumbo.
I mean, that's a lesson.
Dumbo grows up like Bambi, and maybe he can be a household pet.
Yeah.
You never know.
That's right.
You never know. All right, we got an interesting interview that you guys conducted today.
Yeah, this is with the CEO of Valor Atomics, Isaiah Taylor. Isaiah was recently on Sean Ryan, and I got so many messages, people being like, you have to see this interview. What he's doing is so cool with these nuclear reactors. The administration's clearly a big fan of his work, and we got him on the show.
Awesome. Let's go to it.
Okay, folks, today we have a very exciting interview for all of you. You've probably seen him already on Sean Ryan. That kind of got him on our radar. Ladies and gentlemen, we have Isaiah Taylor from Valor Atomics.
Amazing to be with you on the program.
Yeah, welcome to be on the show. So for everyone who hasn't been following this story, I mean, you guys have been getting a lot of attention. You're going to be building nuclear reactors, something that
That's
this
right.
country's not been doing for a while. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, actually, we've already built our first nuclear reactor. It's in Los Angeles in our R&D facility, and what we're doing right now is we're creating our nuclear test site out in the Utah desert. Fantastic, beautiful patch of desert. And so, yeah, the work of the next essentially year before the president's mandate of July 4th is to go and make that test site, get the reactor out there, and turn it on. So we're really excited. I mean, this is genuinely historic. We have not turned on an SMR in the United States ever.
Wow.
Right, small modular reactors were ideated here, invented here, and a lot of other countries have started to figure them out. Unfortunately, the United States is behind, but we have this mandate from the president to go do it quickly, so we're really excited.
And I think that's a big thing because it feels like for years, especially online, people have had this discussion of like, yes, America, doesn't have enough power, and we'll just build some nuclear reactors. Oh, we could build nuclear reactors, and it's always been like, we could do something, and finally you've come along and been like, I will actually build the solution to this problem.
Yeah.
How did that even start? How do you get involved in building nuclear reactors?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Like we're just going to do it. There's really no other way. You just have to do it. This is something that I've been focused on for really as long as I can remember. Nuclear specifically, my great grandfather was a nuclear physicist on the Manhattan Project, so it's something I've
It's the family business.
Yeah, I've grown up thinking about it. Right. My grandmother was actually born in the secret city during the Manhattan Project.
Wow.
So it's just it's something I've thought about my entire life, and I actually thought about joining a nuclear startup when I was in middle school. Not like in middle school, but when I was in middle school, I was like, I'm going to go join a nuclear startup. And I looked across the field of everyone who was trying to build nuclear in the United States, and I realized that like nobody was actually that serious about it. Like they wanted to make designs, they wanted to do analysis, they wanted to do paperwork, and there was no steel being bent.
Yes.
Right? Like that's actually how you build a nuclear reactor, right? You bend the steel and then you turn it on. There's more steps than that, but like if that's not your focus and that's not your immediate goal, it's just not going to happen. So I had to start my own.
Because that feels like an incredibly frustrating part of this whole equation is we know America doesn't have enough power.
Yes.
We know we're falling behind the rest of the world. Like China's building as many energy, whether it's a nuclear power plant, whether it's coal-fired power plant, they're trying to build their grid up as much as possible. I think France has something like 60% of their electricity is already nuclear,
About
and America
70,
is just 70, yeah.
So I think what people need to realize is that in the 1970s, so first of all, back up to like the 40s and 50s, America was the dominant energy producer in the world. We made more energy than any other country on Earth. In fact, the runner-up to the United States was not even a country, it was a continent. Right? So number one was the United States, number two is the entire EU.
Wow.
And that was actually not very close in terms of like total energy. And what that allowed us to do is it allowed us to make most of the world's stuff. We made 60% of steel. We made about 50% of aluminum. And we made 40% of all manufactured things. Like physical things, the United States made 40% of it. And we could do this because we had lots of energy and we had really cheap energy. And in the 1970s, we had this like decision point. We had this moment where we were trying to figure out what do we do next? Because coal and nuclear were sort of neck and neck, right? We were building lots of coal, we were building lots of nuclear, and they were around the same price. Both of them were around 3.5 to 4 cents a kilowatt hour in $25. So super cheap, like really cheap energy. And we're like, which one is going to like win the future? Coal, we were worried about because of environmental impact. Nuclear, we were worried about because of nuclear, it just has this association with atomic bombs and this sort of thing. And shockingly, we chose neither. We actually turned both off. So like trying to decide between them, we did neither. And we basically stopped building coal plants. We completely stopped building nuclear plants, and China started. And the deep irony of this is that, especially in the metals industry, which is incredibly important, we wanted to reduce CO2 impact. So we're going to let's stop building coal plants to electrolyze aluminum and make steel. But actually what happened is that China just started turning on coal plants to own aluminum and steel. And what they burn is actually lignite coal, which is like a worse grade of coal.
Yeah.
So the net impact on the environment was worse, and we no longer have a steel industry and aluminum industry, which means you don't have parts. And if you don't have parts, you don't have assemblies. And if you don't have assemblies, you don't make things anymore.
So we're at an inflection point now, like you mentioned, in the 1970s, and now it's a new information revolution with everything in AI and these data centers that are like they require a ton of energy if we're going to lead the way in the world
100%.
and win this tech race with China in large language models and all that sort of stuff. Can you explain how the tech that y'all are building now can help us in that race?
Yeah, totally. And by the way, like this is an important point. For a while, we were sort of like put to sleep about the energy problem because as we were no longer building energy and in fact plants were shutting down, we were also exporting heavy industry. And so it didn't feel like that much of a problem, right? It's not like our electricity bills went 10x because we reduced the demand at the same time that we stopped building. And of course, that's bad because now we don't have manufacturing, but like it felt okay for a while. Now, the irony is, in the meantime, what did we do? Well, we won on software, right? So we're the best software makers in the world. And this was a way around the power problem because software doesn't take that much power. Oh, wait a minute. Right? Like, oops, actually, it turns out AI is the most power-hungry industry, right? And this sort of like happened overnight. So our sort of like silver bullet that we thought was going to fix the problem that we don't have manufacturing ended up being the biggest power problem. How are we going to power AI? So, I mean, this is a 5-alarm fire. We have to win on this. We have to win on manufacturing, and we have to win on AI, and power is necessary for all of it. So, our nuclear reactors are actually really well suited to this. Our commercial model is about 25 megawatts electric. This is actually a great size. If you want to make a gigawatt, we put 40 of them in a row. If you want 250 megs, we put 10 of them in a row. And then there's a really important concept in data centers specifically, which is redundancy, right? So if you want a stable load of power, you want some backup, right? And you call this like N+1 or N+2. So if you want 10 reactors, you build one more, right? And now you have a little bit of redundancy. If your reactor is small enough, redundancy is a lot easier and cheaper, right? So if you have a massive reactor and you're trying to build one more, you're spending like double the project cost, right? But if you keep the reactor size small, building one more or two more or even three more is not a huge cost.
So when you say small, how small are we talking here?
Yeah, so our first model that we built in Los Angeles that we're turning on next year, it fits inside 3 shipping containers. So
amazing.
Yeah, so it's really small. That one's a nice unit for like offsite use cases. The main commercial model will be a little bit bigger than that, not too much bigger than that, and that'll be a 25 megawatt.
Can I ask you a personal question?
Absolutely.
Because you're a pretty young guy, and you're talking about a very niche, like technology that is critical infrastructure for the country. And assume you walk into a lot of rooms with a lot of older people, and you got to convince them that like this is the way of the future. What's that like?
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone has sort of known that it was the future for a while. Like, I don't have to explain to that many people that nuclear is amazing. Like, it's this sort of, we almost like know it's our birthright. Like, we made the first nuclear reactors, we scaled them out, it was amazing, and people are kind of confused like why we haven't done it more.
Yep.
And the biggest thing that people imagine is that we didn't keep doing it because it was too expensive. This is totally wrong. It is too expensive now, but it actually wasn't back when we were building lots of it. Right? Any industry that you're doing a lot of, you get to start to come down the cost curve. And that's exactly how it was when we were actually building all of our plants. We have like 86 operating plants in the United States. Almost all of them were built from the early 60s to the late 70s, some into the 80s. And they were incredibly cheap. They were actually the cheapest energy on Earth. So most of what I have to sort of explain to people is when you think about cost, you need to realize that physics hasn't changed, right? The physics of how nuclear energy works and how you build reactors hasn't changed since the 60s. What's changed since then is our supply chains, our regulators, the talent pools. Like, we sort of forgot how to do this. And so we have to start over. That's really what Valor is. So I find that people are incredibly excited about it.
What's the biggest challenge that you're facing? Is it regulatory? Because this administration has said we want energy dominance. I know the energy secretary is incredibly excited, not just about nuclear, but what you guys are doing. Is it people's fears? Is it like the movies of like, oh no, it's a nuclear bomb?
This is like, I can't even believe I'm saying this out loud. It's so exciting. But like, for the first time in probably 50 years, the only thing holding us back is our ability to quickly and safely engineer the plant. Like, it's actually just our skills and our engineering that is the long lead to accomplishing the mission.
Wow.
That has not been true in nuclear for 50 years. And it's entirely thanks to, firstly, the president for signing these executive orders. There were 4 executive orders that went out in May that really just laid down the mandate to the industry. Like, we need 3 reactors actually by July 4th of next year to be running on American soil. Like, this has to happen. And then a bunch of people underneath the president who are just hard charging to make it happen, right? So Secretary Wright, incredible energy secretary. He was at our office about a month ago, checked out the reactor. I have a great picture of him in the control room. It's really fun. But then a bunch of people, in the Department of Energy itself, I'll actually, call some of them out just because they're doing such an amazing work. Adam Blake, who is currently working, under the secretary, has set his life on hold, he was doing amazing things before in the private sector, and has put that on hold to make sure that America wins on nuclear. And it would not have happened without him. Like, I think that one of the most incredible things about this administration is that it empowers people to charge forward.
Yeah.
Right? Like, individual people who are special, who are competent.
With incredible backgrounds.
Yeah, with amazing, like, honestly, who should be like living on the beach, right? They've made it, they've done the stuff, and they actually just genuinely care about the country. And they're like, well, I'm going to do a tour of duty, and that's how they think about it. They actually think about it as like service to their country. So Seth Cohen, another amazing guy in Department of Energy, Ankur, like these 3 guys have essentially taken the order of the president, and they have said, like, we're putting our lives on hold to make sure that the United States succeeds in nuclear. And I'm just incredibly grateful. And again, like, it's all credit to the president. It really is. Like, we were pretty close with the Biden administration. We were working with them. They were pro-nuclear, right? The Biden administration was one of the first Democratic presidencies to say, like, we are explicitly pro-nuclear. We're going to do this. But they were just not as willing to rock the boat, right? And the Trump administration is the exact opposite. They're like, listen, like, it's it's actually an existential issue for us to have energy. So we're not going to like walk around this on eggshells. We're going to make it happen. That's incredible.
Hence the beautiful hats we have.
That's
here,
right. That's right. We have
fantastic.
we're going to make nuclear great again. And making nuclear great again will make our country stronger. And it's just necessary. We have to do it.
That's the thing is, I feel like a lot of people don't understand how central energy is, the production of energy, to so many of the problems and why the election was decided. Like, why is there no manufacturing anymore in America? Why is our infrastructure falling apart? Why is it so lacking? Why are so many of the problems? The price of energy going up. And then at the same time, we have to win the AI war with China, and we have to be able to compete on a global scale. And also energy creates so many jobs.
Yes.
That, like, we're still lacking in.
This is so much more causal than people realize. So an example of this, if you want an aluminum part, right, which is, aluminum is used all over every single industry. It's in aerospace, it's in cars, it's in consumer electronics, it's everywhere. If you want to order an aluminum part today, and you're picking between China to make your part or a company in the United States, there's a price difference, right? We know that China's probably cheaper. But actually, what's crazy is that just the billet of aluminum, right, the bar stock of aluminum in the United States is more expensive than the finished part in China.
Wow.
Right? And the reason for that is that our aluminum bar stock costs so much more than theirs does, because aluminum is essentially energy cost, right? About 40% of the total cost of aluminum is energy, and that's actually significantly more than the input ore. The rest of that is like processing and labor, that sort of thing. So if you don't have cheap energy, you don't have metal stock. And if you don't have metal stock, you don't have parts. And you literally can't have an industrial economy where all of your parts have to get shipped.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, there's a lot of talk about reindustrialization in the United States, and what's clear in that is that's impossible without cheap energy. Simple as that.
This was true in the last 30 years. It's becoming so much more true, right? As our economy becomes more driven by AI inference with cameras and then robotic actuation on the factory floor, like both of those things are essentially energy functions, right? Like it takes energy to run the data center that's actually doing the processing on the vision camera, and then it takes energy to actuate the robot arm, and then it takes energy to make the metal stock, right? So like actually all three of these things are just energy. So if you don't have energy, you don't make anything, and if you don't make anything, you don't have an economy.
Wow. So you said the unit that you're building that can fit into 3 shipping containers, how much energy does that make? And what does that number mean specifically? Like, how much energy is that?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the unit that we've built so far, we're going to run at a super, super low level. So I'm going to give you a megawatt figure that gives you sort of its like nominal capacity, but we're going to run it super, super low the first time we turn it on. So it'll make about 5.5 megawatts at full power. We're going to run it super low at about 1/4 of a megawatt, and that allows us to do a very, very safe test on it. We get to know the hardware really well. We get to know the neutronics, and we'll kind of bring it up over time. So that's like a 5.5 megawatt unit. Off the top of my head, that's about 10,000 people.
Wow.
Yeah, nuclear is
one unit can provide for 10,000 people.
Yeah, it's about 10,000. Yeah, the people living in about 10,000 homes. Yeah. So yeah, nuclear is like shockingly power dense.
I'm not so sure about that. If you have to see all the electronics, like where he lives, in his house, he could probably use a personal reactor.
Yeah, it's like 30 smugs.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's just like it's mind blowing, because I mean, I'm not the only one. Like, you see energy bills keep going up.
Yeah.
You don't hear about any investment being made into, increasing the capacity of energy. We've had so much red tape across this country.
And I will say, like, natural gas has filled the breach, right? And I'm very grateful for that. Like, if it weren't for natural gas scaling up, it would be far, far worse than it is now. But we need to do even better, right? Like, we need to go even cheaper. Our average energy costs more than it did in the 1970s. Like, that's the opposite of how things should be, right? Like, energy should always be getting cheaper. And we've had this crazy inversion where it actually like got more expensive for the first time in industrial history, specifically in the United States, which is like, it spells very bad things for your civilization. So we have to reverse that immediately.
How close do you feel we are to getting to a place where you are doing mass production of these units? You said it'd be something like 25 of these units are necessary to be able to power like one of these massive data centers that the AI companies want to build, right?
Yeah, some of the largest data centers being contemplated right now, 10 to 20 of our units, in some cases 40 or greater. Now, the nice thing is it's really easy for us to make these. We've designed it in such a way that it's easy to just crank them out. And this is really what needs to happen in nuclear. I like to point out, if you buy a Toyota Camry from Toyota, let's say you call up Toyota and you're like, hey, I want a new Camry. And they're like, okay, cool. Next week, we're going to start, doing foundation work on your driveway. And we're going to go pull some machines out there. Right now, we need to put in about $1 billion forging unit, right? Because we have to forge it. And there's going to be a bunch of guys on site. There's going to be a whole crew that's going to be working on your tires. And we'll get some like stamping machines out there because we got to stamp the body panels, of course. Like you want a Camry, don't you? But like, no, that's not how it works. Like they make the Camry and then it shows up at your door, right? And that's actually how manufacturing makes everything cheap, right? Like you do the same thing over and over in a factory setting. That allows it to become very cheap. So this is exactly what needs to happen in nuclear. When nuclear was sort of first ideated in the 40s and 50s, we were doing manufacturing, but we were also really good at construction. And power plants were all essentially construction projects. And that was like decently cheap for us because we had the tooling and we had the labor and our economy was set up for that, right? It's not set up for that anymore. We don't really do mass construction in the United States. And I think that's a bad thing. But it's also just like a reality of how our economy works is we're much better at manufacturing than we are at construction. So nuclear needs to move toward that. We need to actually manufacture these things, crank them out like they're Toyota Camrys, and then turn them on.
It's awesome.
Wow. I mean, everything that you've said here is incredible. I wish you all the best of luck with it. Small, what is it? How do you say it?
SMRs, small modular reactors. Yes.
Small modular reactors.
Yep.
I think we should get one for Smug's home.
I would love to have one as soon as they're done. Yeah. Free shipping containers. I mean, it's just, I can't get over the fact that for so long the discussion has been, well, if we got nuclear reactors, I bet it could solve this problem. And finally, someone has decided, I'm just going to build the damn thing. Like, we're going to stop talking about it. And it's terrific that's finally happening in this country.
That really is, if you want to understand valor, like, it's time to just build them. That's what we're doing. And the fact that this administration understands that and decides to just do it is amazing.
It's phenomenal work. Yeah. Can't wait to hear more. Thanks so much.
Yeah, amazing.
What a smart guy.
Yeah. I mean, nice interview, boys. It's interesting to get outside of the bubble every once in a while and find out what people are up to. I find that during the Trump administration, people in the line of work of innovation, not just in the energy space, but almost everywhere, are like excited again.
Yep. Mm-hmm. It's optimism because like finally you have an administration that believes America can do things. Yeah. America can be great again. It's that simple.
I mean, what a breath of fresh air. The 4 years of the Biden administration, it was like America's on decline. We can't do things anymore. We can't have big ideas in this country. Right. And now suddenly you have some of the best and the brightest inside and outside of government looking to solve some of these problems. And they're real problems. Yeah. So it's like America's going to need a heck of a lot of energy to beat China in the tech race when it comes to AI and everything else.
Fascinating stuff. Thank you guys for doing it. Remember, our question of the day is, should Trump let the liberal cities fall? It's a good question. I'd love to hear your answers on that. You got to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel in order to set that up. But you put your responses in, we gather all of them, and we give you a response in the very next episode. We're going to do that again on Thursday. And with that, fellas, I think we did it.
I think so. Absolute banger of an episode. Gentlemen, thank you so much, Isaiah Taylor. And thank you so much to the minions, like Holmes said. Like and subscribe to the YouTube because it's more fun in video. So until next time, minions, keep the faith, hold the line, and own the libs. We'll see you Thursday. Stay ruthless.